Hello and welcome to another episode of The Chop with Marvin Lee. Um, in this episode, I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. I'm going to be talking about perseverance. What is perseverance? And what happens if we allow the process of perseverance, or if we understand what the process of perseverance is. So I want to get started. Number one, I wanted to have a guest, and I'm still in my developmental stages with the podcast, and so I'm trying to go in several different directions. I want to, um, in terms of the format, there's some things I'm tinkering with, but I'll continue. Um, to provide updates as I see fit. But tonight's episode, I want to focus on perseverance, and a lot of times when I'm talking to you guys about, um, the topic of the episodes that I do is either something it's something that I'm dealing with, or something that I'm familiar with, or something that it's near and dear to my heart, right? So perseverance, I want to talk about my process. I've shared a few times uh, on here that I am a recovering addict, and amazingly, 2 weeks from today, I will celebrate 5 years clean, and I that's no small feat. Um, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my accomplishments. I'm proud of my growth, and it's something that I give myself to. It's something that I'm devoted to. It's something that I'm committed to. It's something that I know that I have to persevere, to remain vigilant if I want to be continually successful with that. Because the disease of addiction is something that doesn't ever go away. Now, uh, I may be in a position where I'm able to deal with the disease, right? In terms of practicing the appropriate principles in my life, or doing what I need to do. I can, I can have this thing under control, right? But I have to maintain that process. I have to persevere through some things in order to make sure that um, again, the process is successful. So I want to start off by defining the word perseverance. Perseverance is persistence. And we all know what persistence is. Persistence is to continue to do something. Perseverance is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Think about that for a moment. Persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Now, notice that success is the goal. And whatever that success is, number one, I have to measure what that success is by saying what the thing is that I'm trying to achieve. I develop a goal, or I create a goal, or whatever the case may be, and I am going to pursue this thing. I have a thought that leads to a feeling, and thoughts, feelings, and actions, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, right? But if I have a goal, I'm going to think of a specific thought concerning that goal. I got to put forth an action plan. Now I have to allow my behavior to take shape around that, so that I achieve success in the end. Now, the part that we don't talk about is the perseverance that I'm going to need, the devotion that I'm going to need, the commitment that I'm going to need in order to make sure that I reach my goal. So we're talking about um, uh, the difficulty involved, or the delay that is involved before we reach that level of success. And this is the place, or this is that spot where a lot of us faint, and we give up. We lose hope. We lose sight. We lose focus, because the struggle is real. And one thing I can say about myself is, thankfully, I don't look like what I've been through. And a lot of people don't know. I've been struggling a lot for these past 2 years, and I've never known struggle to the degree that I know struggle now. And I don't like it. It's put me in a position that I've had to swallow pride. I have had to ask for help. Um, and that's not a bad thing. It's just that it is what it is. I'm growing. And if I really want to be the person that I desire to be, because one thing that I have come to admit, or that one thing that I have committed to the God of my understanding is that, God, if you deliver me from this darkness, I promise I'll follow you. I didn't know what that looks like. And when we begin to follow God, what God does is he cleans us up, because there is no way that I'm going to be an ambassador for who he is if I don't act like he acts, or if I don't look like he looks. In other words, I don't want people in my camp if they're going to misrepresent my character. In, for example, I'm not going to recommend you or refer you on my name for a job with people that I know if I already know that your character is one that's going to make me look like Boo Boo the Fool in the end. And it's no different with God. If I'm going to represent him, I got to act like him, because at the end of the day, I am his accurate reflection to others here on this earth in his absence. So again, the perseverance in that prayer was, God, if you deliver me from this darkness, I promise I'll follow you. And again, I didn't know what that was going to look like. I didn't know exactly what that would entail at all. But I have had to face some trials. I've had to face some tribulations. And I do know this, that the beauty is in the struggle, because that's where the character is developed. If you don't lose heart, if you don't faint, again, I have a religious upbringing, and there's one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible says, "Be not weary in well doing, for you shall reap in due season, if you faint not." Don't grow weary by doing well. In other words, don't grow weary by performing service. Don't grow weary by doing kind deeds. Don't grow weary by doing the things that you ought to be doing anyways, regardless of what's going on. Because you're going to reap in due season. Why am I going to reap in due season? Because the law of seed time and harvest, or the law of giving and receiving, the law of attraction. Whatever I put out, I'm going to get it back. So if I continue to, the best time for me to sow a seed of faith is when I need faith. You're like, well, how are you going to give something that you need? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because see, we have it. But how do you really believe what you say you believe? Do you really understand why you believe what you believe? Are you going to stand on your convictions in the midst of the difficulty and the delay? I want success, but there's difficulty and there's delay. What are you made of? What are you made of? And so when I talk about this 2-year struggle that I've been in, again, if you don't know I'm in it, if you don't know me, you don't know I'm struggling. Unless I tell you, because again, I don't look like what I'm going through. And I've learned how to go through the struggle without the struggle going through me. Now, does that mean that it's easy? Not at all, because I have to do the same things that I'm talking about doing right now. I have to remain committed. I have to remain devoted. What does that look like? I have to stay connected to the God of my understanding. Number one, what do I have faith in? What do I have faith for? Where does faith come from? So I have to stay connected to my source of power that gives me that faith to understand that. Just hold on. Just hold on. So as I say, I'm a country boy. One thing for sure, and 2 things are for certain. I might be down today, but tomorrow, guess what? Anything can change suddenly, because I know that the faith that I have, the belief that I have. Now, this is not just something that happened over the past 5 years of my life. This is something I've tried since I was born. Because again, I told you, I was raised in church. Now, I've never hated God, but I've always hated religion. But I know one thing about God is God can do anything but lie. God can do anything but fail. I have never needed God to do something for me that he did not show up. It may not have come when I needed it to come, or when I wanted it to come, rather, but it came when I needed it to come. I don't care what it's been. And even if it's to a simple lesson or whatever the case may be, I can ask God to change the situation, and the situation changes. Well, let me back up. God doesn't change the situation. God changes me, because I've changed. It seems like the situation changed. No, God had to change me to prepare me for where he was taking me. So in the midst of where I'm going, sometimes we have to struggle. Struggle is a part of God's will, because what is going to happen when I get to that place that I've achieved that level of success? Am I going to forget what it felt like to get to where I was going? Am I going to look down my nose at other people who are struggling? Or am I going to have mercy? Am I going to have grace? Am I going to have compassion? Am I going to have empathy, because I understand understand what you're going through. If I can't relate to you, I can't reach you. So in other words, many get called, but few get chosen. Why? Because a lot of us give up in the process. We don't know how to persevere. We don't know how to hold on. We don't know how to say, God, if you do this, then I'll do this. And when you make that kind of promise to God, God's going to fulfill his end. I just have to make sure that I fulfill my end. And at the end of the day, if this is what it looks like to make a commitment to God, as a promise God that I'm going to do something, I don't care how much difficulty there is. I don't care how much delay there is. I know that success will be achieved because I don't have it in me to quit. I don't know how to fail. Now I know how to struggle. And I know how to be cute when I struggle. But I'm learning how to be vulnerable in the struggle with certain people. Because see, I don't trust everybody. You might smile in my face, but I'm not going to turn my back on it to have you talk about me. But if you do, that's a reflection of you and not me. But at the end of the day, my faith is real. At the end of the day, my experience is real. It's shaped because of the faith that I do have. And my hope is what it is because my faith has never let me down. I always say hope is the caterpillar and faith is the butterfly. You can't have one without the other. My faith started out as hope, but the more that God began to fulfill my hopes, my faith was growing time and again. And the thing about God is I see he doesn't change. He is who he is. He's not going to change. It's us who change. But I have to work with him. I have to be devoted, committed to the process. And when I go through what I'm going through, I'm going to have to grow through what I go through. But the perseverance is going to produce the growth. That's something that I'm learning. And even as I'm sharing with you guys, like, because I've been a little down on myself, I'll share this much. Thursday night, I just started a new job last week. I love this job. My car caught on fire, right? How am I going to get to work? And this job is an hour from where I live, right? I didn't know what was going to happen, but I know I prayed, God, I don't know what to do, but I know you do. And I just started making a couple of phone calls, and I wasn't able to work on Friday. I went to a dealership, tried to make some things happen, tried to take my wheel. It didn't work. I went back on Saturday. I was in my wheel. It didn't work. And I finally had to get out of the way. And I said, God, you didn't bring me this far just to bring me this far. And I didn't come this far just to come this far. Needless to say, there were some things that had to transpire. However, I followed what God showed to me to do in the moment. And I was able to get something dependable, something reliable, or something, rather new. And I'm not one of those people that boasts about material things. I don't. I only said that because that was the most recent as it relates to the struggle that I've been in. Because had my struggle not been what it was, I could have acted on that a lot sooner, but I wasn't able to. But the thing about this, I'm going somewhere with this. The car catching fire, had it never caught fire, I would have never been put in a position to have to act on my faith. But because I've been persevering through my process, God says, okay, I see that you trusted me for this and you believe me for this. And I know that you're capable of manifesting this, but let me just go ahead and drop this on you. And if I drop this on you, trust me when I say to you that if I provide you with this, wherever I guide you, I'm going to provide for you. And I'm going to take care of what needs to be taken care of, because at the end of the day, after I got the blessing, now I'm in my head thinking, that payment, the insurance. And so I just went on about my business because my faith is my faith, and I'm not going to let fear, worry, or doubt diminish my faith. So I'm having this conversation in my head after I've already left the dealership and I have the car now. I've left the dealership. I'm in my head, right? But I'm not vocalizing anything I'm saying, because as long as I think it, it's just a thought. I can't help it if a bird flies over my head, but I can keep from building a nest. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, if I'm trying to manifest something and I'm putting faith out there, I might have doubt in my mind. I might have fear in my heart, whatever. But it doesn't dispel the fact that I still have courage and I still have faith. I just know how not to give life to the thing that's going to kill my faith, right? So in the meantime, I'm having this conversation in my head that I don't speak about or anything. And my phone rings. It's a friend of mine that called me the day before who knew what was going on and whatnot. But I just, with so much was going on, I didn't have a chance to follow it Friday night. And so, she said, I just wanted to, see how things went. And I said, I got the car, whatever. And immediately she said, I just want you to know God's going to take care of you. And so I just wanted to call to check on you. And it's like she just proceeded to tell me these things as to why she knew that God was going to take care of me, based on who I am as an individual or whatnot. And I said to her, I said, you know what? I said, thank you for calling me. I said, you didn't call me just to, see how things turned out. I said, God put it on your heart to call me to confirm the conversation that I was having in my head with him that I didn't vocalize. So again, that's God doing for me what I can't do for myself. And God just reiterating to me, trust me, I am who I am. You be you, I'm going to be me, and it's all going to work out fine. So again, these 5 years of recovery that I have, the life that I've lived, I've been on this earth for 50 years, and I'm telling you, I've seen some things. I've needed, and this is not that I'm not being religious, I'm just being me. I'm grateful to be where I am right now. Even when it seems like things are difficult, or even when it seems like there's a delay in the provision for the vision, I can honestly say that I am grateful. I can honestly say that I know how to stand. I know how to be copacetic. And I'm not faking it till I make it. This is not fake. This is who I am. I'll faith it until I make it, but I'm not going to fake it until I make it, because being fake means that I have to be something that I'm not. See, I can't be fake and genuine at the same time. I can't be fake and authentic at the same time. I'm either one or the other, so I can't fake anything. I have to faith it. Even if that faith has a little bit of fear mixed with it, I need to take the courage I need to tap into the courage that is within to remove the fear that's present and keep moving. And I know that I'm going to be okay. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you're struggling, I don't care what the struggle is. I'm not saying you have to be going to church, reading 11,000 scripts. I'm not saying any of that, but a relationship with God is important. I will say that. A relationship with whatever your higher power is. I know that the relationship with the higher power that I have, I know what it means to me, and I know where it has gotten me, and I know what it has done for me, and I know how it has changed me. So again, I'm not trying to make you become something. God never told me to make people believe that he is. God is big enough. I can't do God's job. So trust me, that's not what this podcast is for. I try it for myself. He works for me. So I'm not telling you what to do. I just know what I'm doing. But again, the persistence in doing something despite the difficulty or the delay in achieving success. And what I have a lot of things that I want to achieve. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of goals. But and perhaps that's a part of the process too. The more goals you have, the more struggle there's going to be, because there's some things that have to be changed in order. The greater the degree of the vision, the greater the degree of the work that has to be done on me as an individual to make sure that I'm prepared and I'm ready for the vision when it manifests. Because if I cannot be trusted in the little that I do have, God is not going to equip me to manage, maintain, or oversee anything bigger than what I'm capable of handling. So I have to change, and I can't change me. I can barely manage me. But as long as I surrender, as long as I submit, I'm going to be fine. How do I know that? Because I'm not the person today that I was almost 5 years ago when I made a conscious choice to follow God with my whole heart and to keep that promise to him that I made. I cannot overstate enough the importance of believing in a power greater than myself. What that means for you and what that looks like for you, I can't speak to that. I can't talk about that. And I see the viewership has dropped. I mean, this is the kind of message that a lot of people don't like to hear, but it's the truth. It's easy to get on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram and scroll through and read things that make us feel good, but nobody wants to hear something that's going to make us have to be accountable. Because I have to apply this message to me first, and I know how it makes me feel, so I understand why people don't necessarily want to hear what's being spoken. But if it's tight, it's right, or if it's right, you get what I'm saying. And like I say, instead of making excuses, let's make changes. Let's make changes. Let's not make excuses. Let's understand the perseverance, and just exactly what it is. Since words that are similar in meaning or synonyms to perseverance or persistence, tenacity, determination, resolve, resolution, resoluteness. My mom would say this about me, and people who really are in my tribe know this about me. When I make my mind up to do something, or if I say that I want something, or if I'm going to go after something, nothing and nobody can convince me otherwise. But at the end of the day, I have to remain committed. I have to remain determined. I have to stay vigilant. I have to guard my thoughts. I have to guard my everything. I have to be vigilant over me. I have to stay connected with me. And I can't stay connected with me if I'm not connected to my higher power, who I choose to call God. Because if it wasn't for the relationship that I have with God, I would not be able to hold up under the pressure that I have felt, that I have experienced. But I know that this light affliction is but for a moment. It's just for a moment, meaning it's temporary. What does temporary mean? Temporary means it's subject to change. And it's subject to change in the blink of an eye. And the blink of an eye means suddenly, quickly, as we say from the country, right now. R-E-T, right now. So that's I take hope daily knowing that today may be the day. And even if it's not the day, guess what? I get to wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. One thing for sure, two things for certain. I know that I'm still grateful that I'm not where I used to be. I'm grateful that I'm not doing what I used to do. Because if I were 5 years ago, if I were in this space, if this were 5 years ago, I wouldn't be having this conversation on this platform, on this pod. I wouldn't be doing this. This is something that I've wanted to do for at least 3 years, and I finally just had the courage to just start, like I say, the day after my birthday last year. So we're talking about back in 2020, late 2020, early 2021, I've talked about wanting to start a podcast. In August the 7th of 2023, I finally just stepped out on faith and said, okay, here it is. And even if nobody's watching me, I don't care. I don't do it for the attention. I don't do it for the comments. I don't do it for the likes. I'm doing it because this is the desire of my heart, and I'm showing God obedience, and I'm having to persevere, no matter how difficult it may be, and no matter how much there may be a delay in getting to where I want to go with this platform or with this podcast. It will get to where it's supposed to get to when it's supposed to get there, and I'm going to hold on, and I'm going to enjoy the ride. If I'm doing this for nobody else but myself, I'm enjoying it. If I'm doing this for nobody else but myself, I'm enjoying it. You know why? Because I go back and I watch it. I told you guys I talk to myself, and this is one of the ways that I talk to myself. I watch the podcast and I listen for what I've said. I catch things that I said that I'm like, I might need to clarify that, or I need to edit this, or I need to correct that. I'm learning. I'm sharpening my mind. I know I'm 50 and I look good, but I want to keep my mind alert and active. I've seen the effects of dementia and other things of that nature. I've seen what happens when the mind becomes idle and useless and not challenged or not challenged. So again, if there's no other message that you take from this particular episode, understand that when you define a goal, or when you say that there's something that you want to achieve, you're immediately going to have to persevere. If you say you have faith, if you have convictions, your faith is going to stand trial. Your convictions are going to be put on display. When the rubber meets the road, what are you going to do? When you're thrown in the fire, what are you going to do? Are you going to crumble under pressure? Are you going to burn up? Or are you going to be refined? Because see, gold is refined in the fire. Paper burns. What are you going to do? What are you? Are you gold or are you just paper? What are you? I know what I am. I know sometimes I might feel like I'm paper, but that's just the feeling. And one thing I know about feelings, it may be a fact that I feel how I feel, but that particular feeling is not a fact, and it does not dictate my final outcome. My faith is what dictates the final outcome, and I just have to hold on. And as long as I can hold on, I know that it's going to be all right, and I'm going to be okay. I have been speaking with you guys now for about 25 minutes and 7 seconds, talking about perseverance. And I got a little personal with you guys. I don't know what the format's going to end up being. I really don't know. I'm still in the early stages. And one thing I'm grateful to say is I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I had to start, no matter what it looks like. And I just know that I'm going to stay with this. And I know I'm going to keep doing it. And I know I'm going to keep talking. And I know I'm going to keep trying. If I fail, I'll keep failing until I succeed. I don't care what it looks like. I'm going to persevere because that's what I've been doing. Now I understand it. And I'm grateful. I am grateful. This concludes another episode of The Chop with Marvin Lee. I appreciate you guys for being here with me. For sharing and listening. I may even change the time that I meet with you guys because I have so much going on. I may move to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Monday. I may move it to an entirely different day. I don't know. But one thing I do know is I'm going to keep doing it. And I hope that you guys will be here to celebrate every milestone with me. But at any rate, this concludes this episode of The Chop with Marvin Lee. Thank you for being a part of my process. Thank you for being here with me. I love you, and I challenge you to go out this week, do something kind for somebody else. And as I always say, let's make changes. Let's not make excuses. Have a great week. I love you guys.